whatever you want to do.
I got it. All right. I think I do. Yeah, it's up there. Okay. So today I want to welcome y'all. We've got Tyler King, we've got Rock Davis, we got Ori, we've got Justin, we've got what's that guy's name at Bradford Sanctuary of Praise? What's his name? Oglefin. I'm just kidding. Ogletree. Then we got Cliff, uh, and then my name is Pastor Kit Box. Joining y'all today. Good to have y'all. And then I'm going to put myself on mute. But today's question extraordinaire is care and follow up. What does your care and Joe Bain, what up, my friend?
There he is.
The man. The man. We just about to get started, Mr. Joe. Talking about care and follow up today. What do you do? How do you do it? Anyways, etc., etc. And I'm putting myself on mute. Cliff, tell me how you do yours. You'll start off.
Ours is pretty simple and straightforward. We keep track of attendance every single week with all of our students, and our new students that visit, they get a visitor's card, looks something like this, and they fill it out, put all their information on it, and usually by the next day or the day after, in the mail, they get a thank you card that looks like this. On the back is just a note for me and my wife, and there's a coupon here that they can redeem in our cafe for a free item when they come back. And so they'll get that. Sometimes I'll include a personal note also in there to them, just kind of handwritten. I feel like in the day that we're living in, that things like handwritten notes they just stand out more than a pre-typed out thing that we print. So sometimes I'll put a kind of a personal touch in that too. So within a week, they usually get a card in the mail, and within a week, they get a phone call from me or one of our leaders, and just to follow up with them, see how they enjoyed the service, and just kind of invite them back. So from that point, if they start coming regularly, we add them to our student directory. But we have a separate directory for students that have visited in the past, but are not actively attending. And from time to time, we'll go back through those and call those students and just check in on them and invite them back again. So, of course, we all do the social media stuff. We keep track of students that way and try to follow up with students through as many different, means as we can. So we also do birthday cards. They get a card like this in the mail. It says happy birthday. It also has a free coupon in there they can cut out, just turn the whole thing into us. And there's a blank space for me to write something personally to them over here. So that's just kind of simply what we do. But we just try to keep touch with our kids. Phone calls, mailers, and social media.
What ministry tracker, I guess, app or whatever do you use to keep track of it?
Good old pen and paper. We're still old school that way. We just print out a directory that we have already. We update it every couple of months as need be. But we print it out, and we have one of our leaders who knows all our students very well, and she's at the back door just checking them off as they come in. But we are in the process of switching to an iPad check-in system. And that from that point, we're going to switch to our planning center. We use planning center every week at the church, but there's also the option to get the check-in system part of it working too. Kevin Atkins is already using that for children's ministry, and we're going to start using that with youth. So they're going to come in, they're going to have the iPad kiosk, they're going to find their name, check themselves off, and every week I'll get the printout who's there and who's not.
Planning Center has that?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's an extra fee, but Kevin was using Lamb's List, I think, and that was working out well, but he liked some of the features of the Planning Center, what Planning Center had to offer better. So he was showing me some of that, and so I'm probably going to switch to that pretty soon.
Huh.
MinUp has that too.
Didn't know that. I did not know that. We use CDM right now, and it's. Does anybody else use CDM? Anybody want to raise their hand and say they use CDM, or am I the only one? Sweet. I'm glad I'm the only one that use CDM. What about you, Joey? What does your care and follow-up look like?
I am we all have areas of growth and improvement that we need to make. So this is my I'm a fly on the wall in this one because this is my area where I need some improvement and get some ideas for a better way to do it because what we're doing is not working. I'm just going to be a fly on the wall in this session and just listen to you, also intelligent men, to give us some good ideas to take away. So I'm just going to sit back and listen.
All right, let's do Joe Bain. We'll do Justin Sharp, Ori, and then if Rock wants to say something, he can, and then Tyler King, you can go last.
I do a little bit of old school and new school mixed. Old school pen and paper, I love it. I love having paper in front of me. I love having to be able to write notes on the fly when I need to. But we also keep up. We just switched over. They had a kind of a computer-based system, internet really, when I got here to Metro, and it was really good. Just it was really expensive. I never really paid much attention as far as what the name of it was, only because um, I'm not a detailed person when it comes to that, especially when somebody was already here running it. It did keep up with statistics, absentees, everything computer based. I liked that. I just didn't like how much it was costing me each year. And so from there, what we've done is we got the app, Men Hub Youth. I don't know if you guys have got that or not,
Yep.
but it's worked very well for us. I don't know if you guys can see that one right. Let's see, where's it at? Right there.
Yep.
It says Men Hub. We got that one, and it has done very well for us to check in. We've downloaded it on an iPad, and at our information desk, they come in, check in, and when they check in, especially our regular ones, I have a plethora of candy, gum, whatever, and if they check in, they get it. And I'm telling you, it's been unreal as much as they have really gotten a hold of that. And so that's helped me keep up with it. And it's also kept up with the stats database for me as well. On top of that, what I do is very similar to Cliff. Visitors sign in a card. I make notes on the card if it's their first time, second time. I also put on that note how I followed up. Every visitor gets a postcard from me, a handwritten letter from me just to say thank you for coming. After that, it's more texting and social media, and then beyond that, it's just trying to keep up with them on a regular basis. But the Men Hub has been very well as far as keeping up. But I am still old school when it comes to pen and paper. I love it. I love keeping files still. So you can't go wrong with my phone crashes. My paper's still going strong. So that's. I tell you, I think this is I think one of the most pivotal kind of hangouts we could have talking about follow up. If you don't have follow up, it's bad. It's bad because one thing that our students, especially here in talking with them, they want people to know that they care about them. They want to know they want them to you to know their name, and so for you to follow up and show them that you care and love them, you cannot go wrong. Matter of fact, I put follow up as one of the top priorities on my list to do each week.
Yeah.
Because that is just where it's at. Some weeks it's more difficult than others. Some weeks it's easy, but it's something that I think, as youth pastors, have to improve and get better on and stay up to date on probably more than anything that we do.
What does your process look like, Joe? Do you have a leader that's in place that you let them handle that, or do you do it all, or what?
Now I have a leader that they work the information desk, and they make sure that the students check in. After the service starts and everybody's in their place, she will bring the iPad around and she will check in the ones that did not get there. So she does follow up with that. My wife plays a big role in making sure that the names of visitors are on the postcard. That way, that night I'm writing the letter, writing the note to them on the back, and making sure that the next morning they're off in the mail. Because only want to do about 24-hour response
Yeah.
on follow-up when it comes to that. So we try to do our best in making sure that all flows well on Wednesday nights.
Sweet. Justin?
Hello. Basically, we do a lot of what Joe and Cliff actually use the same. We use basically the exact same principles. We do use Ministry Hub as well. I liked it because when we first signed up, it was free, and that always speaks my language when you put the word free with it. So it works really well. There are a few things that have benefits, and benefits, and there's some things I don't love about it, but at the same time, it really works in order to get our information in. We also have connection cards, which is basically just a visitor card type thing that Cliff uses. We make sure we have everybody's information the same, and that way it's basically the same principle, pen and paper, and then you can look and match it up with your Ministry Hub app. It works really well for that. So we basically use those same principles. As far as us, we've kind of broke our ministry down into, I guess, ages and grades. And I specifically given certain leaders certain grades, and so I kind of put them in charge specifically of their age group. Therefore, if their kids are getting followed up on, it's because they are doing it personally. That way I'm not stuck every week trying to get to 100 kids and follow up, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm just horrible. I got horrible ADD when it comes to that. I can't follow up with everybody, so I've definitely passed that on. And we did it just by age groups and grades. We did that. Other than that, we have a couple in-house things that are a little different. We have a post-it wall, which is simply what it is. It's post-it notes that have kids' names on it. Every week, the kids can come in and look to see specifically where their name is, and there's a little note attached. It's usually from a leader, but it's also done by any students that want to go and write a note to another student or whatever, love notes, etc. Not love notes, but they just post it up there on the post-it wall, and the kids can go and just look every week. And so we try to make sure that every student at least has one a week, if not more. And we do that, and it works really well. And then also there's a prayer wall where kids can go on there and post little cards of their prayers, and that gives us easy follow-up onto kind of their life and their issues of what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. We can go on there and see that, so-and-so wanted us to pray for their Aunt Sally, and maybe we missed it in the altar call, or we missed it or whatever. We can go back to that actual prayer card and say, hey, we saw that, your Aunt Sally was having surgery on Tuesday. We just wanted to check to see how that went, how she's doing, if there's anything else we can add to that. And plus, it just allows us a little bit more personal note onto the inside of their life. It's one thing to say, hey, we're glad you're here, and we missed you, or this or that, but to actually say, hey, we're praying for you for this specific need, it really, really works well. And then on the other side of that is we've got printed out postcards that just say different stuff like we missed you, or thank you, or just simple things. We keep those printed. We open them access to all our leaders and to even our students. It's just a postcard, and if they want to fill it out, write out information, what they do is just write out the information, like, Joe, we've missed you this week. We wish you would come back, or something like that. And then all they got to do is take that postcard, put it in the outgoing box, and then we'll go back in each week and we'll look to see if they've got the address on there, which 99% of the time they don't.
Yeah.
We've got to go in there and handwrite the address. But other than that, we do that. We pay for postage and we ship them out. So it's just another little thing, which is basically just the added letter, but that's just how we do it too. So that's about it, I think.
Awesome. Ori?
Well, yeah, we're pretty similar to a lot of you guys. Right now, we're using Lamb's List, and as soon as the kids come in our front door, they actually go up to our welcome center, and I've got some ladies that one lady's in charge of checking in our regular students, and then we've got another one that's standing right next to her that's responsible for getting information from new students. We are actually looking within the next few weeks to transition to checking in by tablet. But we're sort of wrestling. I know that our children's ministry, they're fixing to look at getting away from Lamb's List, so we have been considering Planning Center. So I may get with some of you guys about that check-ins. But as far as that's how we typically get our stuff, I'm hearing this more and more. Some of you guys are making me feel better that you still have kids that slip by. So what we do is we typically, as soon as everybody's in the sanctuary, we sort of look around and get a head count, and if anybody slipped by, we'll check them in. But one thing we've really tried to start working hard on is our follow-up. Thursday mornings, actually, my wife comes up and helps me at the office, and she actually heads up our follow-up. So we take all the newcomer cards from the night before. We got a little card right here that we send to them, and it's just real generic, but just if it's a girl, I let out a card. Just because I make a big push on Wednesday nights for me to meet face-to-face with our newcomers, and I'm finding out that a lot of research nowadays is saying that the more adults you can surround these kids with, the more likely they are to come back. That if they only know one person, it's all they got to do is get mad at you once and they're gone. So I figure out, hey, if they think I'm a jerk, at least they can find 2 or 3 other good people in our church.
Yeah.
So I have my wife do that, write that for the girls. I've got a guy, he's sort of serving as my ministry assistant. He volunteers every week, and he writes to all the guys. And so that's like our first level follow-up. Right now, we're really making a push because I'd like to have a 6-week follow-up system for that second week, and we're planning on starting that this summer. That's the week after a student did. We have a student send them a postcard, just checking in, seeing how they like everything, seeing what their thoughts are. And then we would take 2 weeks off, and someone sent a text message. Hey, Pastor D.
I love you, boy.
So on the 4th week, we would have like one of the students text one of the new kids, and then the 6th week, sort of just like a final follow-up where I checked in. I know that's sort of an extensive process, but really we started noticing that a lot of kids, they may visit that first week and then they may come back a week or 2 later. And if we can stretch that process to 4 contacts over 6 weeks, we got a really good chance of keeping them. Somebody told me here recently that now a regular attender at the church attends twice a month. That's now the new definition of a regular attender at church. So if that's the case, we've really got to do whatever we can to just continually follow up with them and hopefully develop that relationship. So right now, that's what our follow-up system looks like. And we got another card that we have that's just really generic. It's got our website and our logo, and we use that for if a kid's been missing for a while, or maybe even they had a big accomplishment and we just want to brag on them and just say, hey, we saw that you won this award. Just want to tell you we're proud of you and glad to have you as part of Loxley students. So that's pretty well our care and follow-up right now.
I want to ask a quick question just to make sure. All these cards that you guys have been showing, those are specific to your youth ministry, correct? Those aren't just like generic church visitor cards. Those y'all got those specifically for the youth ministry, correct?
Yeah, we just created ours out of Microsoft Word. I know some guys pay for it, but I'm cheap. So I just had somebody design it for us, and we'll just print that out as needed.
Yeah, Joey, if you'll go to like vistaprint.com is oftentimes where we order our stuff. You could get usually a good deal on bulk orders of a few hundred cards. They will actually, you can download the template that will be in the exact dimensions as like something like this, and then through Microsoft Word or whatever program you guys use for your graphic design, you can just design it exactly according to the dimensions, and then you just submit it through Vistaprint, or there's a bunch of others you could use, but we usually go with Vistaprint. and there's a place in town here that gives us a decent deal sometimes. So that may help you to kind of design your own.
Thank y'all.
Rock, Tyler, y'all want to add anything about that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'll jump in real fast.
Go ahead.
Oh,
You good, dude? Go.
Tyler likes to cut people off, Rock. Sorry.
Listen, you can calm down. A lot of I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with our area, but we're out in the boonies. We're a small town, so I do absolutely old fashioned. I go to homes. I will go knock on front doors, talk to mom and daddy, talk with the teenagers. I do that with our students who are regular attenders who fall off just 1 week. I'm normally there on Thursday evening knocking on the door. And then our students who visit once, they get a text message, and then I'll go drop in somewhere at the schoolhouse or something like that. So I'm kind of modern and kind of old-fashioned. My wife informed me that she wants me to do the postcards so she can follow up. That'd be a good way for her to get involved. So ours is pretty, like I said, modern and old-fashioned.
Rock?
Just quick. I mean, I'm not a youth pastor. I'm just a youth worship leader with Stewart. But something that we used to do back in the day at a ministry that I was part of was we would do just what Tyler was saying. We would go to houses the Monday or Tuesday before. And I know as a youth pastor, there's a lot of obligations that you sometimes can't do that. But we'd have just some leadership team. And I think that was real effective. Like one of the ladies at the church or one of the older girls would just make some cookies. And we just go to the house the Monday or Tuesday the next week. Just kind of, hey, we're just stopping by, give you these cookies. We saw that you came to the youth last week and want to see if we could pray for you or anything. And just mainly just invite you to come back. And be doing it the Monday or Tuesday before the next service would kind of put that reminder in their head that, hey, maybe we should go ahead and go to church tomorrow night at, the youth group that we went to. And it worked out pretty good. And just, it was like, we would go 2 or 3 at a time, youth leader and maybe a couple of students would go and just drop by the house. And we'd have a lot of times people would invite us in to pray for, the mom or the dad or, just whatever. And it really affected not only the student that came, but the parents too. And sometimes we'd have those parents just from us stopping by, dropping off some cookies saying, hey, we enjoyed having you. They would start coming to church too. So it was really cool, effective. You have that kind of that leadership team that can, do that for you. It's really a good thing to do. So
yeah,
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Dwayne Harbison, welcome. Would you like to say anything, my friend? You on mute.
I'm old school. I have to figure out where the buttons are at. Now I'm enjoying listening to you guys. Thank you.
Well, man, we glad you're here. Talking about Karen follow-up. This is what ours looks like. Rock was the one that actually designed this. This is what the front looks like. And we print them at the church, so it costs us absolutely nothing. And on the back of it, I got the idea from somebody. But what we do is we send that out or we get them to fill that out. And whenever they come up to our welcome table, they sign in an iPad. We tried Ministry Hub, and I'm the type of guy that if it doesn't work for a few months, I kind of ex-nay it, and maybe that's a bad quality that I have. Maybe I need to be a little bit more persistent. But it didn't really work very well for us, and the kids were like, it takes too much time to do it. So I was like, whatever. So I know when Richie was here, they tried like badges, ID badges, check in with that, and they said that failed miserably. So they did old school pen and paper, and that worked for them. So right now we're doing CDM, and CDM has a check-in system on the iPad, and so anytime we put them in the system, it goes directly to the iPad, and they get to, I'll plug them in on my computer, and they sign in that way. And when they come to the church, into the foyer, they get a big bag with a CD in it, with a music CD, a bracelet, and a free coupon, $100 to. I'm just kidding. I'm not like that. They get a free drink or free chips to what was it? To the cafe. And then about, it's going to be kind of funny, 75% of the bags are left in the sanctuary. I know it's kind of hard to believe. But after that, what I've been doing is, and I'll go through what I've been doing and what I'm going to do. We get in, and I get in Thursday morning, and I plug all the new kids into the computer, and I sit down and I write them a card that we've made, and I write down their address, and I write them a handwritten card, and they receive that in a few days. And then I have a template in my phone that I'll text them, and I'll just shoot them a text, hey, thanks for coming. And I've got an A team that I have that I, in the past, have given the girls the new girl visitors and the guys the new guy visitors, and I've done that. But what I figured out is that some kids just don't do it. Surprise. So I've kind of backed off from that and have done it myself, and maybe I've given my wife that. My wife will text the people as well. But what I'm going to start doing as of this morning, and been praying about it, what I could do, but I've appointed a leader of mine over the care and follow-up team, and this leader will be in charge of all of this, and I will give the leader these cards. She will take the new newcomers and contact them. She will build a team to where she does all that, and she will handle all of that for me, and all I have to do is she'll send them to me, and I'll shoot them all a text as well. And so that's what we do. And what I've learned is that you've got to take things away from you in order to make you more beneficial, but also so that you're not spread so thin into where you're doing all this stuff, but giving up jobs is my hardest thing, and I think a lot of us can agree with that. That's my biggest struggle. It's hard for me to give up stuff. So that's what I'm going to start doing, is start delegating a lot more to my leaders. But I want to tell y'all this. Brian Cutshaw came to our church a while back, and Pastor brought him in to do like a evaluation of each ministry. And he sat down with us, and he talked to us about kind of some leadership qualities, stuff like that. What he thinks he would like to see, and what worked in his church, and what he thinks would work in our church. So it's one of those things. It's where you listen to him, and you sit down as a staff later, and you talk about what you want to do. But he told us a story about whenever he was preaching in Georgia, and I think he was preaching like a revival or something. And he was preaching, and his daughter, I don't know if it was Lindsay or someone, went to asked their dad and said, hey, can I go to Free Chapel? Because Free Chapel's only like 20-30 minutes away from where they were. And Brian said, yeah, that's fine, baby, go ahead, that's fine. So she goes, and she gets into this college service, and she fills out the card. She explains who she is, etc., and she's stepping outside of the door, and she felt like whenever she first walked into the service, she felt so welcome. She had people surrounding her and loving on her and asking her questions and really trying to get the feel of who she was, and that was a big asset to her. But what really spoke to her was she stepped outside of the room, and service was done, and she left, and she went home. And she said it wasn't 10 or 15 minutes later that I got like 10 Facebook requests from different people in that group, in that youth group, those leaders and the college students. And I started getting all these text messages, felt welcome. And she said that was a huge thing to me. So Brian talked about that. And then also he started talking about how she eventually ended up meeting her husband in that college ministry, all because she just went to, just to visit at Free Chapel. So she ended up getting a husband out of it as well. So I'm not promoting to my kids that, look for a boyfriend or girlfriend, or look for a wife or husband in this, you know what I'm saying? But y'all get my drift. But if the kids will get a card, I think that's so beneficial, getting a card in the mail or getting a text message from somebody that next day welcoming them, and you get other people beside you to help you. I think it's going to benefit your ministry as well. huge. And I remember the first church we were at, I had a kid that hadn't been going to the youth group very long, and he came and then he left, and he missed a few weeks. And I sent him a card and said, "Hey man, I miss you, love you, hope to see you again soon, blah blah blah. We'd like to see you back at youth group." And his dad approached me that next Sunday and said, "Hey man, I want you to know what you did for my son really spoke volumes to him." And he thought it was really cool that a youth pastor would care for him enough to write him a letter saying that he missed him. So I think definitely the 2 or 3, 4 week process of following up with kids that miss is very essential and very important because that kid ended up being one of my most faithful kids in that youth group before he left. So I want to go along with what Joe was saying, that it's care and follow-up is probably one of the most beneficial things to a student ministry that you can do. And I've wrote down a lot of stuff, and I am continuing to. I know that, what's his name, Jeremy Reed over here at Destination Church, he has 3 iPads, and he uses ministrytracker.com. Has anybody heard of that? Ministrytracker.com. I know it's pretty pricey. I remember looking at it and saying, I might have a heart attack if I do that. But ministrytracker.com is definitely something that you can do. MinHub, what Joe was saying, CDM, we use it. Let's see. I know I was meeting a few months ago with Chad Pesnell, who is the youth pastor at Pathway Church here in town. What they do, this is kind of a cool concept. They have a care and follow-up team, and he has a leader that does this, that whenever the new kids fill out their card, as soon as they fill out their card, they turn it in, and they get those picket signs, not those picket signs, but the signs that are the metal stakes you can drive into the ground real easy. What it is he's got, I wish I had a picture of it. It's got a front and a back, and on the front of it says their youth logo. Thank you so much for joining us this week, and flip it around to the back. If you bring this back next week, you get a free t-shirt. And so he says like 90-something% of the time the kids do it, and the kids come back. And if you get a kid the next 2 or 3 more times, you've got them for life. So that was a kind of a cool thing. But what they do is they get the signs, and they, as soon as they hand out, or they give this to the leader, the leader and the students will go to the yard that night during service and put it in their yard, and they'll come back for service, and they have no idea. So whenever they get home that night, they see it, and there's a bunch of those in the yard. So that's a pretty cool thing. But the only problem for me is I've got such a wide variety of where kids live.
I'm just imagining myself getting shot at about 9 o'clock at night. Some kid's yard trying to put a stake in their grass.
Get shot.
Get shot.
That's right. I'm trying to think. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions or anything about anything? Anybody got any questions? I'm trying to think of something.
Care and follow-up is kind of, I don't know if a lot of you guys, I know Dwayne was there, but Dr. Mark Rutland had this big 3-session thing with the NICL, which was phenomenal. And he has this thing set out, and one of the areas in this like little grid or thing is called low risk, high reward. And if there's anything that we do in ministry that has a very low risk, which means you don't have to put a lot of effort into it, but has some of the greatest rewards, is care and follow-up. I mean, you could hit, your service could fail miserably on a Wednesday night, but you can hit a home run with your care and follow-up and almost even out the night if you do it right. So it's got a great reward with low risk to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I
definitely
know
true.
one thing that
Go ahead,
I
Ori.
know one thing that we've all talked about is how important this is, and I've heard several people make the reference to where not only do we try to do some follow up, but we're also trying to delegate it so that other people can step in. I know this may be sort of a future thing, but I'd really like to hear how maybe on a future call how everybody is delegating among their volunteer staff. Because I know even with me, I'm the control freak. I
Yeah.
like to have my hands in everything, but I'm learning too that if I want to significantly reach us, I've got to learn how to let go. So maybe that's something that we can talk about in future conversations. How are you delegating, and what does your volunteer staff look like? What are the roles?
Yeah, I think I want to ask you, Ori. You said you have a ministry assistant. Is it a volunteer or is it paid?
Um, Actually, what it was is he was one of my call. He came up and he said, "Hey, Pastor Ori, I really want to get into ministry, but I have no clue what I want to do." So we sat down and started meeting once a week. I said, "Listen, man, just come hang out with me. I can't pay you, but let's just figure out what you even like to do, what you want to do." I said, "Man, I don't need another warm body in a position, and then you leave me later on. Let's figure out what you actually like to do." And we met through the fall semester, and he started realizing he really liked student ministry. So in the spring semester, I started just giving him a good taste of student ministry. I hooked him up with the book My First 2 Years in Youth Ministry, and each week we'd talk about it a little bit, and I started giving him just different responsibilities so he could figure out what it takes to be a student pastor, and he's just fallen in love with it. I mean, I'm still at a place where I can't afford to pay him, but from time to time, just because of all that he's invested, I'll surprise him with some stuff. Like for our graduates, we gave them a study Bible and a gas card.
Oh, that's
Well,
cool.
this when he came during our weekly meeting, I gave him a gas card and a new study Bible. And the dude, he was so excited. He said, "Man, I really appreciate that." I've taken him on our trips, and of course, with chaperones and stuff, I don't charge chaperones on our trips. Just trying to give him experience. So I don't necessarily pay him, but just because of all he does from time to time, I'll do things just to bless him and try to take care of him.
I'd like to. I know we just said things that we'd like to talk about in future hangouts, and along the same lines, or what you were just talking about. I'd like to talk about how we target group uh, student leaders, for not student leaders, just youth group leaders, adults, people who young couples that can get actively involved, because that's one of the biggest issues that we've got. All these great follow up and whatnot is fantastic. And like I said earlier at the beginning, this is probably where our biggest struggle is with follow up. And that's why I'm trying. Y'all have had a lot of great advice, but the leaders that I have, youth leaders that I have right now, I have a couple that's older, a little older, and we had a lock in Saturday night, and she was very vocal to tell me this is her last lock in to do, and she's trying to phase. They're trying to phase out, and I don't have a lot of options for people, bringing new adults in, and so. I'd like to know, what you guys do to target individuals, what you look for, etc. So I know this is not necessarily care and follow up, but it's kind of in the same area.
Yeah, it's important. Anybody like anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. How I target mine is I don't look for the most talented or gifted people. I choose dedication and faithfulness over anything. Because you can have the most talented and gifted person in your area of ministry, but if they're not faithful, does you no good.
Yeah.
So I look for the faithful ones that I know are going to be there Wednesdays and Sundays or any event. And then what I try to do is before I bring them on, because you got to make sure that they can go well with students, because if all they're going to do is yell at them, you don't need them. And so I try to build relationships with them first, and then I go at it from there. Uh, and that's how I kind of determine my leaders. I will approach them. If somebody comes to me and wants to, I'll look at it and they'll take a spiritual gifting test to see if they even remotely have a heart for you. And if they're not on the chart, I'll follow up with them and say, hey, thanks for calling. Thanks for your wanting to be involved. There may be a different area that you can get in. Let me see how I can direct you to another person to help you. So it's important that you just keep your eyes open, I think, to see who is there, who you can really depend on and trust. And Joey, one thing on the follow-up, until you get those leaders, one thing that I learned working with Gary Taylor in Gadsden was this. Every Monday morning, Pastor Taylor, we met in his office, and he, on the front and back of 2 sheets, listed names that were absent. And he taught me how, in the service, while you're conducting, while you're doing pre and after, you start recognizing who is out. Because there may be somebody that slips through the crack and not gets checked in, and they may not be noticed. But once you figure out that they're not there, you already know, and you're making a list every night of who is not there. And that's what I do now. Even I've got the app. I've got people that help me on Wednesdays. I go and I start listing names of people that I know for sure are not there. Then I try to match it up before anybody else gives it to me. So what I would do is the start on follow-up, man, is just start recognizing who's not there and you making that effort initially.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I like that. I really do like that,
Yeah.
what he said.
That's awesome. Thanks, Chris.
I was going to tell you too, Joey, one thing that we've done in getting out and trying to recruit staff, of course, nothing replaces the personal conversation with them. One thing I do is I typically go up and I say, hey, have you ever considered getting involved in our student ministry? And a lot of times I'm already sort of listening there, because I've learned that if you have to beg people to be on your student ministry team, you're going to have to beg them to stay, and then you're going to have to beg them to do things. One thing that we really like to have is the people that are go-getters, the people that, yes, they'll submit to the vision, but also you don't have to constantly tell them, well, this is what you do next, this is what you do next. You can just sort of share your heart with them and say, this is the overall goal, let's do this. And I've realized that if you can get a hold of those people, and like Joe said, I mean, make sure it's people that's not going to just simply scream at them, because a lot of people think that when they get in student ministry, it's their job to straighten them up. But I mean, one thing is people, I'm going to beg them to get in our team. I'm going to have to beg them to stay. I'm going to have to beg them to do things. Yeah. So they've got to be fired up about it. And in our student ministry, we have cut out the eternal commitment to a position. We now challenge people to, there's some positions that we say, hey, would you be willing to devote to 2 semesters? And there's some positions that we say, would you be willing to commit to 1 semester? And typically once people see what it's like to be on the team, they realize it's more family. We're seeing people re-sign up for more semesters. But when they find out that, hey, this initial commitment is just like a 3-month commitment, they love it. So,
yeah, I've always been told that if you do like a 2-year agreement with the youth leaders, that's too long. So I was told to do like a 6-month. And let me see if I can find it. Right here. Hold on. This is what I did. Is I had each of my leaders a letter, a commitment letter that had all the requirements, et cetera, et cetera. They'd write their name, and then on the back of it, they would sign it. And it's a 6-month commitment letter that I do. I do a 6-month. And chances are, like Ori was saying, they're going to stick with you longer than what you actually give them. So start out small with them and find out who your small faithful few are, and work from there. And obviously, man, just pray and ask God to send you people that's going to love those kids, because He will. He will. I know He will. So, and I'm speaking this in a positive manner. But when we first got here about a year and a half ago, we had about 20 youth leaders, 20, and over the course of a year and a half, I had two of the originals stick with me too. And so what it was is I had a influx of new leaders that I would connect with, and had different people come into my life, and I prayed, and Rock was one of them. He's sitting there listening. He's that blue guy right there on my screen. He's that blue guy. But I prayed, and I said, God, because I had one of my youth doing the music, and I said, God, I needed a youth leader that can do the music. And then one day Rock showed up into my life, and it was like big hearts and big butterflies. I'm just kidding, not Target. But anyways, it was just something that the Lord really put in my life, and so really just pray, man, and ask God to give you people that care. And do a letter. Listen to me. Do a commitment letter. Do it. Okay?
I hear you and I will obey.
Don't obey me. But you just got to
And
find
you know
faith.
what else? Another thing that's good about doing a commitment letter is if you have a volunteer that doesn't work out, it makes it easier for you to kind of transition them out of your ministry, because like Ori was just saying, we lock people into these lifelong commitments, and they end up sticking in maybe longer than they should have or whatever. But if you have a 6-month or a 1-year commitment, then at the end of that you can reevaluate that leader. And I heard somebody talking about that years ago, and it made me think about the same the same thing in my ministry. So.
I'll say this as a leader. I've been in youth ministry for like 15 years. I was like young guy, and all aspects of it, and different churches and stuff. And I think one thing that, and I'm not just blowing smoke or bragging on Stewart or whatever, but one thing that he does for the leaders that I think is very important and it's very helpful for your leaders to stay committed is, like last year, Stewart had a dinner for all the leaders. And, a nice dinner, had the lady at the church cook, and we went in there and, just kind of basically just paying some respect to the leaders, because, we're not on staff. And I'm at the church 3 or 4 nights a week. And, when I'm not at work, I'm working on set lists, and I'm, kind of working with the band and trying to build relationships with them and stuff like that too. And so just to get that little pat on the back here and there and that sort of thing, just kind of paying, hey, dude, we appreciate you guys. And, even if it's something, like a dinner, just, that helps keep you going, because there's days that you're like, you know what, I'm not getting paid and I have so much other stuff going on that I do get paid to do, or that I do have to keep up with, that, you know what, I'm just going to call, or I'm just going to, tell Stuart I don't want to do this anymore, or, whoever. And those little things, those little text messages, hey, man, really appreciate you, whatever, it does go a long way. Even to someone as a text or whatever, it does go a long way, or a lunch, it goes a long way to keep us leaders committed and to want to keep going and keep working hard to build the ministry and, for the youth pastors. So.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. That is one of the things that if you do, and I think anybody on this in this call right now will verify that you've got to take care of your leaders. One thing that I try to do is I do the Christmas thing for them. I give them a Christmas gift each year. Throughout the year when we can do stuff, even if it's a small thing. One night I got everybody's orders from Starbucks. I know it's Starbucks. I don't like Joe Muggs. I think their coffee's awful. If Justin was a little bit closer, I'd be drinking coffee at his place. But I got an order from Starbucks, and one Wednesday night I went and had all their Starbucks ordered in our little leader room. And then one Wednesday night I did their favorite candy bar. Just something simple, just to show appreciation. and that goes a long, long ways. And one thing I wanted to add, we kind of got on the student leader thing.
Yeah.
Are any of you familiar with Leader Treks? TREKS? If you haven't heard of it or not, they have this thing called Student Leaders Start Here. And it's this book right here. It's a little book, and you can get a quantity of them for, I mean, just it's an incredible deal. And what I've done was I let them take the test, and in this test, it has if you're a doer, thinker, relator, or mover. It's a leadership assessment test, and then also it has the whole thing of the spiritual gifting test on it as well to see where they fit in. But as you see where they fit in, how they fit in, and what they're going to be best at. So I have this book right here has been phenomenal. It's been great, and I would recommend it to any of you guys for your student leaders to get to know them and how to work or how to use them in the best way that they feel that they're being fulfilled.
So you buy that
Yeah,
book.
that's
So you buy
actually.
that book for each one. Sorry, Ori.
Oh, that's cool.
Do what now?
Joe, do you buy that book for each of your leaders and give them a copy?
Yes, they're not expensive at all. I mean, it's just a few dollars a book, and this is it's been one of the best things that I think I've done because it's let me understand my leaders more, and it's helped me. So you can go to leadertrex.com, I think it is. Yeah, leadertrex.com, and it'll pull it off. And man, it's pretty good stuff. Mr. Justin, how are you, man?
I'm good.
Congratulations on the second child, my friend.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
About time you showed up.
Yeah, I'm too good for y'all.
The Isla president is in the house.
No, boss. No. I'm just trying to keep up with Ogletree over there.
That's it. That's right.
All right, Justin, tell me, how do you do care and follow up? We've kind of done like two different things. We've done care and follow up, and then Joey's gone ADD with us and made us get on track about youth leaders. So, what does you start? Tell us, what does your care and follow up process look like for kids?
I'm getting questions right out of the box, man. It sucks. I just woke up from a nap and eating lunch. I get on here with you guys, and you're asking me questions.
What kind of beard
Is that
oil do
right?
you use?
Is that Rob Davis?
Dude, I heard you were coming. I had to come. I had to come to meet you.
Yes, sir. I love it. We've done a bunch of different stuff. I'm a firm believer in direct connection via text messages. Most of my kids don't like to talk on the phone. I reach out through group text a lot after fact on Wednesday nights. We've looked into some programs. Frankly, I haven't used student ministry follow-up programs because I don't have iPads present on campus yet. Second half of this year, once I see how my budget is playing out, I'm planning to buy 2 iPad minis and start running youth ministry tracker. I'm going to give that a shot. But right now, we're kind of old school direct connect text messages and emails, and occasionally we do cards.
You sound really tired.
It's the story of my life, man.
I like your acoustic guitar behind you.
Thank you. You like the hole in the wall? Was that it?
I do. Sure do.
Some of that.
That's funny. Man, I like the student leader thing. Y'all want to keep going with it?
Yes, please.
All right, let's keep going. All right, because I think we can do it as much as we can with care and follow up. So how do you delegate? How do you delegate student leadership? And if you got to go, that's fine. Y'all go ahead. And I'll tell y'all when I got to go in a little bit. What does your student leadership team look like? How do you delegate, or how do you give responsibility? Justin Sharp, go ahead, my friend. I'm going to put you on the spot first.
I just got a text. Basically, what we did is when I first got here, I just really got an inventory of where everybody felt like they felt called. Specifically, if they felt more geared towards younger students, that we wanted them to be working with them, and then there was specifically, a group of leaders that said, "Hey, our heart is specifically for high school students." Honestly, I guess we got lucky. There was no like actual planning about you have to go here, you have to go here type thing. It was honestly kind of a, hey, where do you feel like you are being called? Where do you feel like you want to work? For a lot of it, when I first got here, we just had like college student leaders, and that was it. We had 0 adults on the actual leadership team. So I really realized that there were a lot of adults that were kind of sitting around waiting to transition into youth ministry. And so, I know a lot of people are old school and say they only want, they don't want adults or they don't want parents. But to me, I'm just to the point where it's like, if you're willing to help out in youth ministry and you have a heart for it, we want you. Yeah, you do run into a few things where you have parents in there that are leaders that sometimes they kind of lean towards their kids, but at the same time, if you've got it covered with everybody else, I haven't really ran into too many problems or issues with it. So, but yeah, I mean, that sounds horrible of me, but there were no actual lines drawn. It was just, hey, where do you feel like you're called? And when they said, hey, we want to deal with the younger kids, that's where I put them. And when we said, they said we want to do older, that's where I put them. We did find, we specifically look for people that, I've got leaders that I literally got a guy that doesn't want anything to do with young people really, but he wanted to help out with youth ministry, which sounds awkward. So he's just kind of a security guard. I know it's kind of creepy, but he just hangs out in our building, which it sounds really creepy, but it's desperately needed. We need people to always be there just in case there's ever anything. And plus, he's a fallback guy. If we ever need somebody to run and get batteries or whatever, he'll do it for us. So we do have those creepy people that are kind of sitting there, and one of the things. This goes back to Joey's original question too. Is one of the things I hate my pastor for, and I'll always hold him against it. Is simple fact that he got up in front of everybody on a Sunday service and told the people that we needed help in the youth ministry with leaders. So if you're desperate, Joey, let your pastor know and he'll do it. I promise you will have about 20 or 30 people that have that you really wouldn't want near a youth ministry show up and tell you they want to work and they feel called. So I've kind of had to work a way around that. But at the same time, the way I feel is if you're a body and you're willing to help, we'll find a place for you to fit. So that's what we do.
Anybody else?
Hey, I was going to say that we're in the process right now of needing to recruit more adult workers because for a while we have been using college age students to lead, and the problem with that is although a lot of them are awesome, they're just flaky. A lot of them can just let you down, and so I'm in the process of needing to recruit more adult workers and volunteers to help me because we have largely been using college age students. And so, that can be good and bad. I don't know, maybe some of you guys can share your thoughts on that. How has that worked out for you? But so that's what we're kind of working through right now, just recruiting more adults to be there and hopefully recruiting the right adults.
All right, sorry, I was sending a text message out. I've got leaders around me, and I've got a good bit, but I'm still looking for more that are able to come, that are faithful, those that are gifted, those that are perfect. I'm just kidding. I don't want perfect leaders, like Joe was saying, but I've got my leadership team is made up of, my wife. She's over the drama, and she's basically the point person that oversees the welcome table. And then I've got another lady that's just accepted the position for the care and follow-up team. I've got one of my leaders that does music, who is Rock. He's on this call. He does music for me, which his responsibilities are about to be stepped up if he's gone. All right, never mind. He's gone. About to put some more stuff on him. I've got one of my leaders that oversees the gym every Wednesday night, Bill Baker. Justin Bates knows that name very well. I've got another leader that oversees the cafe, and she does all the cafe. This is where I am now. I've got different leaders in different areas. I've got one of my leaders, actually, he is over our middle school ministry for what we have. We have a thing called Epicenter every other Sunday morning, and we have a middle school service for our middle schoolers on every other Sunday morning during church. And so he deals with that. He also deals with the ushers and greeters. He's over that. But one thing that I'm wanting to establish, and this would be my question to you guys, is I am wanting to have a ministry, like kind of what Ori was saying. I want to have a ministry assistant. Not like I've got a secretary, I've got my wife, but how can I say this? A student ministry administrator. That's a mouthful. A student ministry administrator. Maybe put them in charge of the youth budget. Is that a good idea or a bad idea? I also want to put them in charge of like leadership meetings. Not like running them, but coordinating them and contacting each leader about the meeting. And maybe just kind of basic. For me, I'm not very administrative. I need to learn to be more administrative. So in the areas where I'm weak, I'm going to find other people that are strong. So if I were to make a youth leader administrator, what would the not requirements, but what would their responsibilities be? I need some help on this one. Big time.
Well, I'll tell you, as far as mine, this guy, I simply had him as an intern for 2 semesters just to figure out. I mean, how you sort of get to know people at church, but you only really get to know them after you spend a lot of time with them. And I had to figure out if he was really crazy or not. And then after he started figuring out how I would make decisions, I started putting him in charge of some small things. The big thing is, I mean, he really does compliment me in some things. I'm more of an organizational guy. I would schedule everything in the world if I could. But he sort of helps me loosen up in some areas, and also he helps me see. I mean, I'm just 28, but I'm finding out that it's easy to lose connection with what the students are saying, and he helps sort of keep me fresh. So as far as the ministry assistant side of things, he helps me out with a lot of the things that I'm just not good at.
Okay. Question for Cliff. Cliff, would it be a good idea? Justin is.
I knew that was gonna get you, dude. I knew it was gonna get you. I knew after what frame of mind you're in, that was gonna get you.
I really wish I could show y'all what Justin just sent me. God help me.
I'll show you. There it is. What?
Can't see it.
Yeah, I texted him and told him I was about to take off my pants. I was waiting until it was a serious moment.
Oh, God. Good.
It was either then or when we're going to close with prayer. I didn't know if you guys closed with prayer, so I figured I'd go ahead and jump in now.
So stupid. Cliff.
Sorry, Pastor Dwayne. I know you're a senior pastor. You forgot how all this stuff is.
He don't care. Cliff, would it be a good idea, ignoring Justin's comment, would it be a good idea to make me this admin, put them over a youth budget? What do you think?
Would it be a good idea to take a youth leader and put them over your budget?
Yeah.
Is that what you?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I'd have a hard time. I'd have a hard time with that. I mean, I think you ought to be the person, you maybe your wife and, uh, you know, be the primary ones overseeing your budget, but maybe you want to bring a couple of people in to talk about that and what your spending looks like throughout the year or however you want to do that. But yeah, that's one of those things that I would really just, I mean, if you're talking about looking over reports and things like that, and just kind of keeping tabs on it, I mean, y'all can do that in your board meetings or however often that you meet, with your team. But I would monitor that very closely as the primary leader, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Joe Bain, what does your youth leadership structure look like?
I have a guy by the name of Greg Dye who comes in every single Wednesday, and he does all my setup, presentation, lights, you name it, he does it. He is just gung ho about it, and that's all he does every Wednesday. And so he is my main go-to guy. If there's anything that needs to have some type of immediate attention to on Wednesday night, he's there, hands-on, ready to do it. I do have parents that have been here through a transition that have been very, very good. Some have went off, but they handle on Wednesday nights because we don't have a lot of area. We have our main area in the gym. We have our leaders out there just kind of talking, hanging out, just making sure everything's flowing good. We do have, I have somebody. I have Clint Johnson who's with me too. That he does a lot of the pre-service stuff, gets us going. So I've been able to get a break from that just a little bit, so I'm not having to focus on all the stuff. We recently got a lead student who's now doing the music for me, and he'll be coming on and doing that. So I use a lot of my leaders for trips, and that's where I really put a lot of my attention on. Is the trips. Anything around here, we can manage with about 3 or 4. And then another area I use them very, very heavily in is in small groups, making sure that they can feel a need or be an assistant to a small group leader. So that's kind of how my structure is. I'm a still hands-on guy. I do not do a lot of delegation. I don't. I have a hard time with just releasing a lot of stuff. I do on some stuff, but man, I like to work a lot, and so just knowing that I can do it. It took me a while to let Greg come in and actually set up my stuff, chairs and everything, because I am an OCD. My chairs have got to be in a certain line. They cannot be any half-inch off at all. They have to be right in line. So it took me a long, long time to get that, to let him do that. But other stuff I am very, very involved in, even though I do have assistants with other leaders. I'm right on tap. And you asked Cliff about the budget and to have an admin or an assistant over budget. My answer to that would be no.
Mm-hmm.
You already have to report to so many people that's higher up on budgets, and you have to make sure that they're in line with what you have done. I would not add any more stress to another meeting to let somebody come in and try to manage a budget that you can do, since you're pretty much there full time. So I would not do that.
Agreed.
I agree. Yep. All right. Anybody else want to say what their leadership structure looks like? Or how you recruit leaders? I think we might have already discussed
Well, I'll jump in. I'm awful with leadership because I think Ori may have said it, that he's a control freak, and I think I do everything in the best way. But what we did was we compiled a group of young adults in the church, and they just got a letter saying we'd be part of it. And they were like an advisory committee. They helped me sit down, me and Mandy, and plan out activities, plan out fundraisers, all that kind of stuff. More administrative wise. I mean, I do all the budget, I do all the balance of the checkbook report into our treasurer and all that. But when it comes to youth service, it's just me and Mandy. But that's all I did. I just went to the church. People I knew would be real supportive. Of course, we're Nauvoo Church of God. We run 130. So, I don't know the people a whole lot better personally than other people in larger churches would. So that's how we roll. That's how we roll at Nauvoo Church of God.
Awesome. Is any smart aleck comment Justin Bates wants to add in? Please go for now.
I was just laughing at you, man. I looked up, you had the duck face picture rocked for like 10 seconds there. It was incredible. I tried to screenshot it, but it didn't work.
I wish you would have.
Hey, that's his camp meeting face because he knows it's right around the corner.
Right around the
That's
corner,
it.
baby. Hey,
It's also every single Church of God young man's face right now before camp meeting. They're hunting, boy.
so stupid. Justin, how many leaders do you have?
You talking to me or Sharp gone?
No, Justin Bates.
How many leaders? About a dozen.
Do you have jobs for them?
Specifically, I keep roles for cafe attendants, check-in desk, security outside. I also employ people just to be present that don't have specific giftings to engage people well, but have a heart for students and can be nice. I'll just have them present. Either it's crowd control, but it's really not crowd control. It's just, as well as I do, kids are not going to do anything wrong most of the time if there's an adult presence. You don't have to have anybody necessarily patrolling as long as they're there.
Huh.
So,
okay.
We do.
That's cool. Anybody want to add anything else before we close out? Are y'all good? This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that since camp meeting and youth camp's right around the corner, we probably need to wait till after youth camp before our next one. Does everyone agree? Disagree? Don't care at all?
I'm just here for the snacks.
And little midgets. You like little midgets too, don't you? Or is that PK?
That's PK, man. PK's terrified of midgets.
Everyone get Kristen McGarry's number and text him a picture of a midget right quick.
Yes.
We do need to try to. We're all going to be at camp meeting. It'd be nice if we could all get together one day after a morning service and have lunch or something. That'd be a good opportunity. That's about 2 weeks from now.
Let's do it. Let us do it. Justin Bates' house. That's where we'll do it.
If y'all want to bail out of camp, that's where y'all need to come. I live like 7 minutes from Camp Utopia, so if you ever just need a break, come over to the house.
Sweet.
Have an IBC root beer. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so let's try to plan something for that week, and I'll post something maybe. I don't know, that Wednesday or Thursday, something like that during the day would be cool. I think we're good. I'm going to close out, and I look forward to seeing you guys at camp meeting. Listen, I'm being dead serious when I say this. I love each of you guys, and I appreciate each of you guys, what you do, and your family-like atmosphere and your sarcasm, Justin Bates, during serious moments. So I appreciate y'all.
If I come back, your stinking video call.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on. All right. I'm out. I will see y'all later. I'm closing this thing out.
Peace.
See y'all.
See ya.